thoughts or questions before we launch?
What page are we starting from?
We're picking up where we left off, Eitan, which is on the Mishnah. We got to the Mishnah, if you remember. We even chazered it in the hotel, the whole section with Yehuda and Ruvain. Right, so we're not quite halfway down the page on Yud Aleph 11b.
Okay.
We just had a session from 2 to 3 or 9 to 10, depending what your time zone is, about staying attentive, trying to learn effectively. It's a really great idea if you could take notes, be a focused student during this, and participate as we go. The Mishnah. Anybody not have it, need help getting there? The Mishnah says, Misha Nigmar Dino. This is really quite an ongoing saga. Our hapless murderer, but not an intentional murderer, certainly, who's just been tried and convicted of Ritzicha B'Shogeg. He's murdered. There's some kind of inadvertently, and it's interesting. My Gemara this morning in Shavuos just talked about a guy who gets gullus. Interesting how that happens. Kadosh Baruch Hu plants these little eggs for us. All right, it says, our Mishnah says, Misha Nigmar Dino, from the time that his judgment finishes, right? He's now been convicted. If the following happens, Meis Kohen Gadol, the Kohen Gadol should die from that point. Well then, interesting how it works out for him. Hareza Eina Gola. He does not go into exile. He does not get gullus. Okay, so this Mishnah is a bunch of bullet points. It's a bunch of individual dinim. He doesn't get gullus. The Gemara is going to explain why. But technically, we already understand. We can intuit this. Technically, we're aware that he doesn't get gullus because he goes free, according to the Torah itself, when the Kohen Gadol dies. And he's a free man now. The Kohen Gadol just died. But pay attention to the timing. The timing in these sugyas is of utmost importance. He's already been sentenced, right? We'll see in a moment if the sentencing, and the timing and the Kohen Gadol's death coincide in different ways. It's going to come out very different. So far, so good. Next point in the Mishnah, or on the second line. It says, are you following? Those of you who have a Gemara in front of you?
Rabbi, what page are we? Sorry, I stepped out.
No problem. It's Yud Aleph Amud Beis, which is 11b, and it's the Mishnah, which is a little over halfway down the narrow lines. And I just did the first line. We're in the second line of the Mishnah. It says, Im ad shalom nigmar dino meis kohen gadol. But now the converse. If here's the sequence. He's definitely murdered. He probably, the Mishnah doesn't say all this, but he probably, if you remember the whole sequence, he fled to the Ir Miklat initially. He then was called out to Beis Din in some foreign place, and he's brought to Beis Din. They're in the process of adjudicating. There's a trial that's going on, and then the Kohen Gadol dies. The same Kohen Gadol who was alive and should have been davening, and Hayalo levakesh rachamim v'lo bikesh. If you remember how the Gemara put it before, he should have asked. Kohen Gadol has a piece of this because he should have been davening that there should be no murders on his watch when he's the Kohen Gadol, and that same Kohen Gadol dies before the conviction, before there's a sentencing. Meis Kohen Gadol umanu acher tachtav, and another one was appointed instead of the first one. And then afterwards he's convicted. This is sentencing. Well then, Choser, I added well then. The well then is not in the Mishnah. Just saying. Okay. Thanks, Nathan. Somebody's out there appreciating this. Okay. Hi, Ben. Ben, we'll take out your Gemara Yud Aleph Amud Beis Mishnah. So then the primary Kohen Gadol died before the sentencing. The new guy has been appointed. Okay, and then he's after the sentencing. All right, excuse me, before the sentencing, and now he's sentenced. Well, then Mace. Then it says V'lachar mikenik mardino choser b'misasel shel sheni. He then goes out of the Ir Miklat when the second Kohen Gadol dies. Okay, actually, on the face of this, this all seems straightforward. But think about this. I learned this. Michael Stern stayed later after the hotel when everybody else went to go whatever they did. So Michael and I wound up doing some of this Mishnah, and we came upon the following question. It turns out the Gemara is going to take this up, and there's more to say even after the Gemara. But if you're with me so far, consider the following question. I'm not giving an answer right now. Stew over it, and we'll get to it when we see the Gemara. Question is like this. Again, if you follow the technical layout of this, we wondered in our previous sugya, hey, wait, what does the Kohen Gadol have to do with this Rotzeach? Why should he be davening that the Kohen Gadol would die? What did the Kohen Gadol do wrong? He said, no, you did something wrong, Kohen Gadol. You have a responsibility for your generation. You remember the immortal words of the Gemara. The expression is Tovi chata v'zigud mingid. What, Tovi should sin and Zigud should get lashes? Right? So the Kohen Gadol, no, but Kohen Gadol, you're not so innocent, right? But wait a minute now. Turns out that there's a new Kohen Gadol in town. And he didn't have to pray that there should be no Ritzicha on his watch. I mean, he wasn't Kohen Gadol when the murder took place. And yet, the murderer now goes free only on the death of the second Kohen Gadol. Well, wait a minute now. Now, really, you can say, Tovi chata v'zigud mingid. I have nothing to do with this, says the new second Kohen Gadol. Do you hear the question? Okay, Mara's going to ask it too. Anybody have a thought? Anybody have a suggested answer? Okay. I'm going to beg you as we do this. This could be a really productive time. It's really great that I did not expect so many people to come for this. I hope we keep this up. So try to train yourself. Zoom makes people passive. Try to pretend that we're all in the same room together and participating, and all over this, and take notes and ask questions. But okay, that's the question. I'll continue. Okay, but if certainly don't let my talking too much, silence you. You should ask questions if you have them, and if you have great insights, by all means, contribute them. We're on the line in the Mishnah on Yud Aleph Amud Beis, a few lines in. The line begins with Sheni. It's 4 lines down in the Mishnah. And now we have the third scenario.
Real quick, what is the 2 words before that? The Chotzer, the Mitata.
Kol hakavod for creating all the words, Moshe. Chozer b'misaso shel Sheni. He returns with the death of the second. By which the Mishnah is expressing he returns home from the Miklat when the second Kohen Gadol dies.
Thank you.
Yeah. Nikmar Dino below Kohen Gadol, the third case, if he's sentenced and for whatever reason there is no Kohen Gadol, right? There is no below Kohen Gadol. There could be, Rashi gives a scenario, Shalom minu acher tachtav. Let's say the Kohen Gadol died and they didn't get around to appointing a replacement in time, and then the guy's sentenced and there just was no Kohen Gadol in place, which could happen. Right? Sometimes they didn't have a chance to act quickly enough. Or there are actually a few possible alternate scenarios. The first of this, in this third case, the first is he's sentenced without a Kohen Gadol in position. Then we have another variation of Horeg Kohen Gadol. What happens to a guy, what a case, wow. What happens to a guy who actually, the victim was the Kohen Gadol? So that's why there is no Kohen Gadol, because he's the dead man. And then the third alternate in this scenario, the Kohen Gadol Shahara. What if the Kohen Gadol himself is the Rotzeach? Oive. Yeah? Okay, so in all those 3 scenarios, either there was no Kohen Gadol, he killed the Kohen Gadol is the Rotzeach himself. Eino Yotze Misham La'olam. He didn't go out of there forever. He's in the Miklat for the rest of his life. Ve'eno yotze lo le'edus. He does not go out to testify. Now this is already it's related, but it's a 4th unit in the Mishnah, because we're now going back to all the road scheme. As long as they have to be in their miklat, well, then they have to be there. and they can't leave for any reason, and they can't go out even if they know a certain testimony. They can't go to testify. And there's a really obvious question, and Shmuel's going to ask it right now. He's got that look in his eye. Do you have the question? It's all the Mefarshim ask about this point. Too much pressure.
I don't think I have the same question. My question is about
that covers yourself, because then, of course, if you do, then you're fine.
Yeah, basically. I was wondering what the reason behind that is, because that in those three cases of either the Kohen Gadol being the Rotzeach, or he's killed, or there's no Kohen Gadol appointed. What is that juxtaposed against Yovel year? Because isn't a person released also in the 50th year?
No, you're confusing a very reasonable confusion, but they're two different things. Yovel is when slaves go free. Has nothing to do with the Rotzeach, the unintentional murderer who's got the punishment of going to the city of refuge. Yovel does not affect him. The only thing that affects him is if the Kohen Gadol dies. So insofar as the Kohen Gadol didn't die yet, he's in the Ir Miklat. Nothing to do about that. Or one of these three cases where he's perennially in the Ir Miklat. He's not getting out because he either killed the Kohen Gadol or one of these variations. So in all of these situations, he's got to be in the Ir Miklat. No leaving, even for Edus. Good? Good. Anybody else get the obvious question? What, Moshe?
I don't know if it's obvious, but like, I understand why, like, okay, so let's say like he killed like the Kohen Gadol or something like that. Why can't he just leave when the next one's appointed and then dies?
I think in these scenarios, there was no Kohen Gadol present at the sentencing. Since that's the deal. That's the definition. Only when there's a Kohen Gadol who's alive during the sentencing can he go then free, when that Kohen Gadol dies.
Right, because that one has that specific one.
That's
okay,
it.
Man,
yeah.
Fine.
Anybody else figure out the question?
I didn't figure out the question.
So, Rabbi, what's the question?
He doesn't go free to testify. Want me to say it? And I'm not going to give you an answer. I'll let you lose some sleep tonight too. Here's the question. What if he happens to know testimony that could save somebody's life? He doesn't go free? Just to testify? Just to save a life?
Well, I'm confused. No.
We say for Pikuach Nefesh, we're willing to do virtually everything, short of doing Chil Hashem or the three cardinal sins, right? But like you could eat pork, you could be Machal Shabbos, and one presumes you should be able to leave the Ir Miklat temporarily. Excuse me, not Corona. You have that piece of, you have that critical information. You know something that, guy's being tried for murder, and you can get him off. You can get him off. Otherwise, he's going down, right? You know that piece. Well, I'm sorry. Oh, there's a technicality. You can't leave there, Miklat. Won't let you leave. Pikuach Nefesh, though. Yashmo?
Two things. One, wouldn't it be Pikuach Nefesh to not let you leave? Because if the Kohen Gadol isn't dead and you haven't been released, then the family can go and kill him.
Right. Fair enough. That's the Goel Adam, and we're just about to get into the Goel Adam. It's another juicy part of this Mishnah. But I mean, again, look. We're asking on a more fundamental level, like, why does the Torah set up the whole scenario like this? I mean, after all, if his going free to testify for somebody could save somebody's life, the Torah itself could say, okay, Goel Adam, you can't touch this guy. He's got an invisible shield around him. For the period that he goes from their miklat to testify and back, he's covered. I mean, the Torah could establish that, right? But it doesn't. And it's telling us in the Mishnah pretty clearly, he doesn't go out.
What if the testimony that you can give is to exonerate yourself?
Oh. Well, I mean, there's already been a conviction, and we don't let you be you're not an innate about yourself. Person can't be made on his own case. Ezra, what are you going to say?
we've already established that an Ir Miklat is a place where there isn't a high rate of murders. So what would he be testifying about?
Oh, maybe something that he saw previously. I don't know. Maybe he saw it with his binoculars. No, that doesn't work. But that could be any scenario. And just because there aren't a lot of murders in the Ir Miklat, but could happen. It could be something else. I don't know. It doesn't have to be at a murder. It could be something unrelated that somehow could be life.
I guess also the same question would apply if he was at the border of the city and he saw somebody about to die and he could save them, but he's like, oh, I can't.
Maybe right. That's the question. Anyway, that's one of the questions. I'll let you stew on it.
There's no proof you'll exonerate this witness.
Okay, I'm going to do a little bit more of the Mishnah before we call it an evening. Or an afternoon.
Are we specifically saying it's a murder case that he wants to testify about?
I'm saying hypothetically, this way. All we have is the Mishnah just says he does not leave to testify. And the both can hey, what if there's pikuach nefesh? That's the question we've asked. That's all.
Okay.
Weiter. So we're still in the narrow lines of the Gemara. Eno yotze le'edus. Then it says, Eno yotze le'edus mitzvah. Doesn't go free to get testimony on any mitzvah-oriented type thing. Giving testimony, you realize, is a kind of a mitzvah. V'lo le'edus mamon. He can't testify about monetary cases. Well, that seems like a kal v'chomer, but okay. V'lo le'edus nefashos, nor on capital punishments. V'filu Yisrael tzrichin la. Even if the Jewish people should need him to save them or something of that order, v'filu sar tzva Yisrael k'Yoav ben Sruya. Even if you're the most decorated, celebrated general, like Yoav himself, Yoav, who was the great general under David's, when David was king, right? And they need you. You're the man for the job. Eino yotze misham la'olam. He does not go out of the Ir Miklat ever. Shneimar, as it says, Asher nas shama, because it's the city of refuge. That's where he fled. And the shama is superfluous. They don't need to put that word shama in there. So we darshan shama there. And what do we do with it? We say sham te'adiraso. There you got to be, buddy. That's where you're going to live. Sham te'misaso. That's where you're going to die. And again, in the last three cases, he really is going to die there because there is no Kohen Gadol. In the earlier cases, he could die at home if the Kohen Gadol dies. But okay. And finally, sham te'ekfuraso. That's where he's going to be buried. He will not leave the city of refuge for any reason, not a mitzvah, not even to die, not even to be buried in these last cases. He's stuck. That's his face. That's his fate. That's as far as we'll get for tonight. Questions?
Yeah, Rabbi. Question on. So it says, he Enu Yotzei Misham Olam. Does that? It seems to imply that this is only the cases where what we've just said until now are only in the cases where he can't. It's a little confusing.
It could be understood on two tracks. He doesn't go out of there in all the other cases where there is a live Kohen Gadol. The only way he gets out of there is with the death of Kohen Gadol. In that way, this is relevant. He can't go out of the Ir Miklat for any reason until the Kohen Gadol dies. That's one track. Then, in the last scenario in the Mishnah, where the three cases that we saw, where there is no Kohen Gadol effectively at his sentencing, or he is the Kohen Gadol, so then he'll never go out of there. Two ways of understanding this, and then that's explicitly what we're talking about here. Good? How does this work for you? If I'm doing all the talking like this, you're able to stay with it and get it?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Rabbi.
I appreciate your coming. I'm gonna be planning around this and so on. So your commitment is meaningful to me because it'll keep me on track, and I'll be doing this. If you can't make it, drop me a note. That's a nice thing to do. Now that I'm on WhatsApp, it's easier. You can give me an email, WhatsApp, and tell our chevra too. Tell the other guys in the Shiur that we're actually doing this. Maybe they'll join us. Yeah. Questions?
Yeah. So how should we prepare? I
think in the same way that we did in the year. You should take the bit that what we're doing at the end of the year. take the bit we just did, chazer it, get a chavrusa with somebody here, right? Chazer it, ask questions, take notes. You have your Gemara with you?
Yeah.
Great. Fantastic. All right, great. Tomorrow night, anybody feels like it, that 9 o'clock Israel time, 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Shiur is something special that Eitan's setting up with a bunch of what do we call them, Eitan? Like they're pre-derech, pre-Ds.
Incoming
pre-derech students.
Incoming and interested derech students, primarily NCS wires.
So I better be good, huh? Pressure. Okay. Anybody like some time online after this? Personal time, questions?
I had a question.
Can I ask a couple words?
So great. Oh, by all means, you get words are priority, and then as we'll get to questions. Anybody wants to check out? Great to see you. And if you want words, Moshe, go ask.
Okay. Shoot. The words. Yeah. Oh my God, I just lost the place. Okay. The one about like the king. Sorry, I just gotta find it.
Oh yeah, I went real quickly there. I apologize. Vafilu sartzva Yisrael b'Yoav ben Sruya, even if he's a minister of the army of the Jews, like Yoav ben Sruya.
Oh, wait, which one's a minister of the army? Is
Sartzva. Sar is a minister. Tzava is the army.
Okay. Thanks.
Eitan, you had something?
Yeah, Rabbi. When it says the first, because I wasn't here for the first time. So Misha Nigmar Dino,
Misha Nigmar Dino, Meis Kohen Gadol Hareze and Ogola. From the time that the sentencing takes place, the Kohen Gadol dies. He doesn't have to go to the miklat. He basically, it's as if the Kohen Gadol died while he was in the miklat, and he's a free man.
So it's that whenever the Kohen Gadol dies at the hands of the Goel at the Rotzeh?
Well, he's sentenced, and now it's time for him to go back to their miklat. In the ordinary, usual way things would probably go, well, the Kohen Gadol would die sometime thereafter, and then he'd go free. Our Mishnah is simply adding that he could go free as early as the immediate sentencing. They say, and you, sir, are guilty, you're going to their miklat, and then word just came in, the Kohen Gadol just died. Okay, you're free.
Oh, the Kohen Gadol died like mid sentencing or after he got sentenced?
After the sentencing. Mid sentencing wouldn't work, but right after there's a sentence rendered, if the Kohen Gadol dies, then he goes free. Then the Rotzeach goes free.
Nigmar means the case was already closed.
Misha Nigmar, from the time that the case was, the verdict was rendered. The deen was given.
Misha Nigmar,
Nigmar is to finish the deen, the judgment. The judgment was finished, which we would say the sentencing was rendered.
Ain't no goal. Okay, fine. Got it. Great.
I appreciate that you're doing what you're, Moshe and Eitan Sedegatvar. I appreciate that you're really getting this, and you'll appreciate it too. It's the right way to approach this. So you can chazer it and really get this on your own. Fantastic.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Ezra, what do you have?
My question was kind of answered by the last where you just translated, but I was wondering if there's a statute of limitation for testifying, because if the Kohen Gadol dies, can you then testify on the case that you weren't allowed to earlier? But
once the Kohen Gadol dies, then you're saying maybe the time is up. Well, I guess it'd have to be once there was already a Beis Din. Although look in the Gemara in Sanhedrin. That's what we're learning next year. They might reopen cases especially when they're capital kind of cases where a person's life could be saved. Okay. Yeah, there's a possibility that they might listen to new testimony. Especially if the witness was somehow incapacitated, he wasn't able to come to Beis Din earlier.
You can't give testimony from the Miklat?
That's a good question. You could set a Beis Din up in your Miklat. I think the Mishnah is speaking to hypothetical realities where that, whatever reason, didn't happen. Everything's a possibility.
I'm trying to understand if it's saying you can't testify in general if you're
No, it just means it's the Tana's way. The Tana who's writing the Mishnah is trying to establish just how stuck this guy is in the Miklat. Even to do something that's a mitzvah like giving testimony, you can't go free. That's really the punchline here. Something that ordinarily would say, well, of course you can go give testimony. That's a big mitzvah. No, this guy's there. Sham tiek furaso, sham tiek misaso. That's it. He's there.
All right. Thank you, Rabbi.
Yeah. Pleasure. Good to see you all. Okay. See you tomorrow.
Rabbi, real quick.
It's over.
Yeah. There was a request by one of my friends, and you could of course say no, but someone was actually wanting to know if we could put the shiurim on YU Torah as well.
YU Torah, who does that go to?
It's another like Torah Anytime platform. It just happens to be focused within the YU community. Happens to be Derech, like most of the YU Israel programs are on the platform. Derech is not. But that's like I said, it's totally your choice. Either way, they're on.
Problem with it. I don't think. I mean, the Breslov and the transgender topics were a little picante, but I stand by whatever I had to say on the subjects. I mean, maybe I don't know who those audiences are. If they're if there may be some hostility to those topics, but it seems to me it's they're worthwhile.
Sure.